Hi, I'm Helen. If you love pizza but you want to skip the takeaway and save some money, then today's video is for you. I'm going to show you how to make homemade pizza dough and sauce, and we're also going to use the Thermomix ingredient presets to grate some cheese perfectly every time. With the Thermomix, you can knead like a pro, chop and cook all in one machine, making pizza night at home quick, easy and stress-free. So let's get your homemade pizzas ready to go. We're going to start with our pizza dough. It's really super simple and it has only 5 ingredients to the dough. So you want to grease either a bowl, or if you're using a Thermomat, then there's no need really to grease that. But if you don't have the Thermomat, a bowl that's greased is perfectly fine. We're going to go to our next step, and we're going to place our first lot of ingredients, which is the lukewarm water. Now, if you aren't sure how warm it needs to be, by all means, jump into manual cooking, put it onto 37 degrees for a couple of minutes, because that's pretty much the temperature we're looking for. If you're like me and you've made pizza dough lots of times and you're quite confident with that, just testing it with your finger is fine too. We want 220 grams of lukewarm water. There we go, or thereabouts. We want a little bit of sugar if you want. I'm actually not going to put it in there, I'm going to skip it. Kind of depends how quickly you're wanting to make your pizzas, or if you're fermenting them in the fridge over the night, then you really don't need the sugar, it'll do its thing. Sugar just helps to feed the yeast to give it that better rise. So we're going to bypass that, I'm just going to tick it, and we're going to put in 2 teaspoons of dried yeast. You can use fresh yeast if you want to. It's about 20 grams of fresh yeast to 2 teaspoons of dried. Or if you're buying the sachets, 1 sachet is plenty. And now we're just going to mix those ingredients together for about 20 seconds. It's at this point that if you wanted to adjust this to add a temperature onto there, you can do that manually yourself. Okay, they have just been mixed very quickly, and we want to put in the remainder of our ingredients, which is some baker's flour, 400 grams. You've got to use a baker's flour because it is a stronger flour, it has more protein in there, so you're going to yield a better result when it comes to your pizza dough. We want to put a little bit of olive oil, about 20 grams, 20 to 30 grams will do, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And now comes the easiest part, which usually is the hardest part, the kneading. Thermomix is going to do all the hard work for us. We're going to be hands off, our hands are going to be clean as well, and we'll have a beautiful result in 2 minutes. So the kneading function is one of those functions where the Thermomix gets a little bit excited and can start to dance on your bench top. And we really don't want it dancing off of the bench, so just stay nice and close when you're kneading. Kneading is finished. All right, so we're going to transfer this dough either into that greased bowl or onto our Thermomat. And I do love that the base of the TM7 spatula fits perfectly at the bottom of your blade. You give it a little bit of a twist and out pops your dough. Anything left over, you can just grab it carefully from the base of the blade. And if you've got a really sticky dough and you're finding that it's right up against the blades, you can pop it back on, give it, put it up to speed 8 or 9 for a couple of seconds, and it'll spit everything off of that blade so you can get all the dough out. But mine is pretty clean, so I'm not going to go any further. That's all good for me. We've got a beautiful dough here that we're just going to roll into a ball. You can put a little bit of oil on your hands if you want to. Again, it just depends how sticky your dough is, and that'll depend on, did I go over or under, the flour that I'm using, the humidity in the air, but it's a pretty good dough either way. You'll find it's easy, you can touch it without it sticking to your hands. We're going to wrap this up and let it rest for about an hour or until it's doubled in size. Now, while my dough has been set aside to rise, I am just going to do the toppings, and I'm going to start with the cheese, because I find if you think of the order of things that you're working on, then sometimes you can minimize the cleaning in between. So there's only the tiniest bit of flour in there now from the dough. I'm not going to wash it out, and I'm going to grate my cheese, and then I'll make my sauce. So we're going to skip out of this recipe, and we're going to go to our search, and I'm going to search up here cheese, because we do have a feature on the Thermomix which is called ingredient presets. So for those of you that may not know what speed you need to go on or how long you need to grate it for to get the texture that you want of, grated cheese, you don't have to worry because it's in the Thermomix. So if we type in here cheese, you'll see a little box or category pops up with cheese. You're just going to select that. You're going to choose how you want your result. Depending on which ingredient, it might have a couple of different options there. In this case, there is only grated, so that's what we're going to select. You're going to choose, is it a medium to hard cheese, or is it a Parmesan cheese or other hard cheese? So I actually have a little bit of a mix here. So there's a little bit of a dilemma. I've got a tiny bit of Parmesan, but a lot of mozzarella. So I'm actually going to go with a medium to hard cheese. It says anywhere between 70 to 150 or 150 to 300. I am actually going to select 150 to 300, and we're going to weigh that into the bowl. Oh, look at that, pretty much exact. Almost a little bit over. That's okay, just a tiny bit. We're going to press our little tick, put our lid on. Our digital twin is telling us to put our lid on. And it's got 7 seconds preset on speed 7. So I know, because I've been using the Thermomix for a long time, that anything from about speed 6, 7, 8 or 9, you're going to get a finer result than if you were to put it on a lower speed. So let's just press play and have a look. We've got our grated cheese. Now, if I wanted it coarser than this and not as fine as this, you by all means could have gone and adjusted those seconds to less seconds. I could have adjusted the speed to be slightly lower, but this is going on a pizza and it's going to melt. So it really doesn't matter what your cheese looks like. But have a look, in 7 seconds, we've got one of our main toppings, which is our cheese. Done. Could have mixed a bit of cheddar in there if you wanted to, pretty much any cheese you like. Now again, there's not much in there, so I'm actually not going to wash that, and I'm going to move straight on to our sauce. So now we're on to making our pizza sauce. Also really, really simple to do, and it makes such a large amount that you'll have enough to put in your fridge for your next pizza night. So let's get started on this one. We're going to set aside some jars, which I've already got, and in actual fact I'm using the vacuum seal jars because then I can seal them up and they'll last even longer in my fridge. I'll link that below so that you know exactly where to go to get those. We are going to now pop in some brown onion and a garlic clove. I will pop in the onion first. We need about 150. And guys, it doesn't really matter if it goes a little bit over or under. 1 onion, 1.5 onions, thereabouts. And 1 garlic clove. Oh, it says 2, mine was really large. And we're going to chop that up. 3 seconds on about speed 7. All right, let me show you what we've got in 3 seconds. Always amazes me. Ta-da! That would have taken a lot longer to do by hand with a lot more tears. So we're just going to scrape that down. And we're going to add our olive oil, 20 grams of it. And we're going to saute that now for a couple of minutes on 100, speed 1. All right, now for the remainder of our ingredients. For our pizza sauce, we're going to pop in 800 grams of peeled whole tomatoes, about 40 grams of tomato paste, Now I've got the remainder of the ingredients all in one here because we pre-prepared them, but of course you can tick off as you go. So we've got 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, a teaspoon of sugar, and 1 to 2 pinches of sea salt. Now the sugar is optional, it's there to just cut some of the acidity in the tomato sauce. And that is all that it needs in terms of ingredients. We're going to cook it for 10 minutes on 100 speed 2. Now once that's finished cooking, you want to pop it into your sterilized jars, set it aside to cool, and then you can use your vacuum seal wand to seal them if you like, if you're not using them straight away. So we have all of our components ready to go for our pizza. We've got our pizza dough that's been sitting aside for about an hour to rise. We have our cooled pizza sauce, and we've got our grated cheese. So let's have a look at our dough. You will see that that has in fact doubled in size. If you're not sure how you know whether the dough is ready just by looking, you can do the pressure test. So you pop your fingers and give it a little press. If it springs back, it's actually not ready and it needs a little bit more time to rise. If it comes up nice and slowly, then you know it's had enough time, because there is such a thing as overproofing, so you don't want to do that. So let's just cut this in half. The other thing you can do if you wanted to have this pre-prepared is do it the day before, pop it in the fridge to rise, and then just take it out of the fridge about an hour or so before you're ready to use it to make sure that the chill is all gone and it's had time to come to room temperature. Okay, this is going to make 2 pizzas. Again, you might want to make 4 smaller pizzas or 1 really large pizza. Totally up to you. I'm going to use the circles that are on my Thermomat to judge how big I want to get this. Now there's a couple of ways. You can use your fingers and just spread it out. This is one that has risen in the fridge for us when we were preparing. There's still a tiny bit of chill to it, but it still seems to be working for me. Be patient with this too. So that's one of my pizzas. Now again, if you wanted to create a bit of a crust around the edges, you can do that, especially when you're using your fingers to like stretch it out. I'm going to pop it onto this greased tray, and it doesn't have to be the exact size of the tray either, unless you are wanting to do like a deep pan with a nice crust, in which case I probably would have used all of this dough for 1 pizza. All right, so that's 1 pizza. And the other way is to use a rolling pin. I tend to not usually do rolling pin, but if it's going to make your life easier, by all means use it. And I'll just show you. The great thing about this particular rolling pin is that you can use the tapered edges to get it into a nice circle. If you find that your rolling is making it go a little wonky, then yeah, use the tapered edges to help you out. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit rustic, right? I think it makes it taste even better because you know you've made it yourself. All right, so we've got our 2 pizza bases here. We're going to put some of the sauce from our vacuum seal jar. And I'm just using a little like a measuring spoon. I find that's always easiest to use. And I'll show you why in a sec. I'm going to use the base of that measuring spoon to spread that sauce out evenly. Now we're just going to put it into our oven today. However, you can use a pizza oven. We've got the amazing Avana. There's heaps of videos that you can have a look at on the channel to have a look at the Avana pizza oven. But it does make amazing pizzas in seconds. And in which case, if you were doing it in the Avana, you wouldn't use this tray. You'd be putting it on a paddle where you're going to be launching it into the pizza oven. And the last thing that's remaining here to do is to pop on our cheese. We're doing margarita pizzas. We do try to, the way that I've been taught to make pizzas is to only ever have about 3 to 5 toppings maximum, but I usually go for 3. Simple is better. But this is your pizza, so you do what makes you happy and your family happy. Be mindful when you're using a pizza oven, so if you were actually going to be using a pizza oven, to not make the toppings too heavy, because that will affect when you are launching it into the pizza oven. It sometimes will get stuck to the paddle. So I would actually be topping it while I had it on the actual paddle. Make sure that it moves around with maybe a bit of semolina or polenta underneath it to help you with that. But there we go. So we're making it, keeping it really nice and simple, and then we'll pop it into our oven about 15 to 20 minutes, depends on your oven, 200 degrees, and we'll come back and put a little bit of basil leaves on top after. Here we go, my pizzas are ready. That only took about 15 minutes in my oven. And if you wanted the base even firmer, you can always sometimes blind bake your base just a little bit to crisp up, and then put your toppings on top. That would give you a really, really crunchy base if you weren't using a pizza oven. If you're using a pizza oven, you don't need to worry about any of that. I'm just going to finish it off with a few basil leaves. Now time to slice it so you can hear that crunch. Check it out. And there you have it. Homemade pizzas made easy with your Thermomix. Perfect dough, delicious sauce, and no need to spend money on takeaway again. With all the functions that your Thermomix offers, pizza night has never been simpler or more fun. Thanks for watching. Make sure that you jump onto Cookie-Doo for more pizza ideas, and I'll see you next time for more quick and easy meal ideas.